New Glock 19 Gen 5. This is the updated and refreshed model. That sounds a bit confusing because it's not a new generation altogether, but Glock did low-key roll out a few updates to their Glock 19 Gen 5 based on a lot of consumer demands. Now, there are 2 points that I want to reiterate real quick. Number one, this is primarily a gaming channel, so that's going to be the primary focus. However, number two, I do support our constitutional right to bear arms. I wouldn't consider myself a crazy gun nut, but I do support the Second Amendment, so I'm going to be dropping a few videos here and there in support of that. But anyways, back to this Glock 19, guys. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the history of that, Glock 19 is a compact handgun, a really popular handgun, not just in the United States but all around the world. Here in the US, you'll notice that a lot of law enforcement and military personnel use Glock. Whether you love Glock or hate Glock, they're a pretty solid standard. They have a really good track record, not perfect but a pretty good track record. So in my personal opinion, I don't think you can go wrong with Glock. So anyways, moving forward, here is the box. You'll see a lot of the same design language no matter what Glock you get. It comes with a hard case. Some of you guys might feel like that's a little bit of insignificant detail, but I purchased Rugers in the past, I purchased Smith & Wessons in the past, and other guns in the past, and they come in cardboard boxes. So just the fact that you get a legitimate carrying case to protect your gun, transport your gun, really nice touch. Here on the front, you'll notice there's some nubs here. If you want to buy a bunch of Glocks and stack them, you can. On the bottom here, they do have a little bit of some standoffs, so you can stand it up if you want to. On the other side, you'll have a warning label. I'm not gonna bore you guys to death, so I won't read it off to you, but here at the top of the case, now this is a really important thing to note. You'll notice, of course, like I said, it's a Glock 19 Gen 5, but one thing that I did not mention is that I did get the Ameriglo bold sights, and I'll go into more depth about that later in the video. The trigger pull is probably about, not probably, but 5.5 pounds roughly, which is kind of standard for everyday carry guns, something in that ballpark. 3 15-round magazines. Now, the most important thing that is definitely worth notice here, it says PA195S 303AB. So in the middle of this product number, you'll notice it says 5S. Now, 5S is the designation for the new line of Glock 19 Gen 5s. The previous one is going to say 50. So the old one is 50, the new one is 5S, and we'll go into some of those changes later in the video. So let's go ahead and open this up real fast. So the first thing that I'm gonna do real quick is I'm going to demonstrate for the keyboard warriors out there that this is empty, okay? So no ammunition in the chamber. I just took out the magazine here, and you'll see here all the orange followers on all the magazines, which is a feature of Glock Gen 5 models. Putting that back down, we'll go ahead and put one of these back in here. But absolutely no ammunition here in the gun, in the magazines, and all around the table and in the room. Absolutely no ammo. Now, the first thing that I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna go over the accessories first, okay? So we're gonna blow through this. I don't wanna bore you guys to death, but one of the accessories here, you got 4 different backstrap models that go on the back of the body right here of the gun, or the frame, however you wanna call it. But they're interchangeable, so if you want a beaver tail, you can add that to your gun. I personally have a good fit with the stock included backstrap, so I haven't had to make any changes, but you can do that based on your hand size because every hand size differs, all right? Another thing, you do have a speed loader. I've purchased Glocks in the past and I've never cared to use this. You have that if you want to use it. I personally, if I'm going to be using that, I like Ameriglo, so I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in a speed loader. So I didn't mention this already, but basically 3 magazines, they are 15-round capacity, so all 3 mags are the same with the orange follower and base plate. So there's of course a lot of aftermarket parts, but Glock in particular, I believe they have extension magazines that go up to like 33 rounds. So if you want to have a 33-round magazine, have at it, because Glock does have the option, along with just a slew of aftermarket accessories for Glock. So there's that. Now here you'll notice we do have a bore brush, okay, just a basic bore brush if you want to clean your barrel. And then of course you have the handle here, goes in like so. Obviously there are other important cleaning accessories that I would strongly recommend besides this, but here is a good start. And then here you have a gun lock, okay, that goes inside the chamber of your gun, and a set of keys if you want to transport it and keep it safe and locked down. And then here you'll have your important safeguards, okay? I'm not gonna bore you guys to death. I will open this up and show you the contents. First thing here, instructions for use, okay? Glock safe action pistols. Next thing here, you got a customer safety awareness form. It does have a copy attached to it. A little insert for your guide to firearm safety. A little insert for NRA. Join the NRA today if you're interested. You can do that. Now, another insert for the Glock Sport Shooting Foundation. A lot of inserts, guys. Now, on the last insert, you do have a notification to complete your warranty and get 20% off the Glock e-store if you are interested. Guys, I think that pretty much sums up the accessories. So, taking one last look at the box, you got some foam padding and a little pocket right here if you want to keep your paper inserts or something else there, but some other details right here, we won't get into that. But moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about the most important piece of the video. Okay, so the Glock 19 Gen 5 updated model. So real quick, guys, as far as I know, there are two major, minor, whatever you want to call it, updates to the 19 Gen 5. So the first thing you'll see here is this one has front slide serrations. I personally, and I'm sure most people also, rack their guns back here and benefit from the use of these slide serrations, but I don't know what circumstance I want to rack from up front, but at least you have that option if you want to do a quick check. I think, quite frankly, if I have the option, I'm gonna rack back here because of the potential of having your hand in front of the muzzle. So front slide serrations, to me, I feel like it's kind of more of an aesthetic thing. But another big thing is here at the base of the body slash frame, you'll notice it does not have that half moon cutout. Now, to be honest, I've seen the hype and the criticism of this all over the internet and in the forums. They're saying supposedly that they shoot the gun and it just pinches their finger, pinches their pinky, and it's just really uncomfortable. I've shot Glock 19s with the half moon cutout in the past with no issue, but personally, I think it's a good thing that they did refresh this model without the half moon cutout. So you'll notice one of the Gen 5 features is that there is a flared magazine well. So if you notice here on the front, instead of a half moon cutout, you do have a little bit of a flare out there. So you do have a bit of a better grip when you shoot the gun. So that pretty much sums up the two updates for the Glock 19 Gen 5. There might be some other updates that I don't know about. If I figure that out, or if anyone else has any other updates, please comment below and I'll be sure to update the caption. So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, guys, basically what I want to point out are the model numbers. So I'm gonna insert the model numbers for the old 19 Gen 5 right here and the new Glock 19 Gen 5 over here. So if you are interested, basically the three different models, you have the Glock 19 Gen 5 with regular polymer post sights that most people don't like. The middle option has the Glock night sights, whereas the highest option has the Ameriglo bold sights, which I really like. So this is the Ameriglo bold sights. Let's see if we can zoom in. It does have an orange outline around the tritium. Now the orange outline, obviously it's really eye-catching. You're able to pick it up pretty good during the day or any time of the day, but you don't really fully appreciate it until it gets dark. So I can tell you, for me, going out on the farm and shooting my previous Glock 45 with Ameriglo bold sights, I really found a strong appreciation for it whenever I was shooting outside late in the afternoon into the evening. And I was surprised to see how easy it was to pick up on the night sights even when it got dark. So Ameriglo bold sights here on the rear, they are blacked out. They do have tritium. So 3 tritium vials, 2 in the back post and 1 on the front post, of course. Not going to be a sight for everybody, but for me, it's easier to pick up on that front post when these are blacked out. So that's a preference for a lot of folks, but not for everyone. If you're not interested in this, then I would suggest getting the cheaper model and then replacing those sights. But here on the front, you do have an accessory rail. If you want to attach lasers, lights, and whatnot, you do have that option. Let's talk about the body here. The texturing here, to me, I would say this is extremely grippy. Of course, for me, on all my guns, I always put an overlay of a granular texture or a rubber texture from Talon Grips or other manufacturers to kind of enhance the grip of the gun. Pretty solid slide stop lever. It is ambi, so you can flip it up on either side, so it is left hand friendly. The magazine catch feels great. I'm not quite sure, honestly, if you can replace it and reverse it. I think you can, but someone else chime in, or I'll put it in the description below as far as the features go. The trigger, again, guys, just to recap, no bullets in there and orange follower, so it is empty. But let's go ahead and talk about the trigger pull. There's a trigger safety, so right here, this needs to be depressed for the gun to go off. So a lot of mechanisms to prevent accidental discharges. Trigger pull, about roughly 5.5 pounds in weight for the trigger pull. There is a little bit of take up, but as Glock is known for, they got a pretty solid wall. Okay, so I'm pulling this back. That's the pre-travel. You hit that wall and you have a really solid crisp break. I would say not very much post-travel there, so pretty satisfying. So keep that depressed. And so now you can see at what point does the trigger reset itself. So that was pretty loud. I'm pretty sure you guys heard that, but that's where the trigger resets. A really solid, crisp reset, and it's audible, it's tactile, really predictable.
جبنة هذه كلمة بسيطة. أصحابي كلهم يحبون هذا الشيء، بس أنا ما أتقبل ريحته. كثير من الأشخاص يحبونه. ما أحب الطعم. So really great gun. I think the trigger feels absolutely phenomenal on these new Gen 5. So I love the triggers personally. I don't feel like you need to drop in a new trigger to enhance your trigger by any means. I think it's acceptable out of the box. The new Glock Gen 5 models are known for having a nice sturdy coating. I believe it's called the NLDC finish. So a nice strong coating with the finish. The barrel length right here for the gun is about 4.02 inches. As far as the weight goes, guys, the weight of this gun is less than 24 ounces with an empty magazine. So a lot of people actually do carry this as their everyday carry. Me personally, as a smaller person, I can't imagine carrying this maybe in the midst of of winter. But let's go ahead and move forward and field strip this pistol. So with all Glock pistols, pretty much there's one common way to field strip them. So let's go ahead, we'll take out the magazine, we'll pull the slide back about, I would say, a 1/4 inch, and then here at the front of the gun, you're gonna pull these tabs down, and then you'll be able to remove the slide. So you pull the trigger, of course, make sure you point in the safe direction and safety check it before you do that. But here is the frame, if you want to take a look at that real quick. I don't think there's anything unusual compared to other Glocks, just your basic frame there. And then here is the slide. As far as the basic pieces, you take off the recoil spring, which you see here, and the barrel. Like I said, the barrel is just over 4 inches in length. Now, the new Glock Gen 5s do tout a new type of barrel. They call it the marksman barrel with a different kind of rifling. To be honest, I can't really tell you if there's any difference between this and previous barrels, but I can tell you it is quite accurate. Anyways, here is the slide. At the front of the slide, you'll notice it's kind of beveled off right here. Okay, so supposedly this kind of helps with reholstering the gun. Okay, so it's beveled off, so able to enter the holster a little bit more easier, kind of gives off less of that boxy shape that Glock is really known for. Taking a look at the inside of the slide, this is kind of like the typical layout for Glock. If you're familiar with striker fired guns, this is kind of what you typically see. Okay, so that's how you field strip the Glock 19. Pretty simple guns to field strip and clean. Let's go ahead and put it back together. So you have the slide, you get the barrel in first, then the recoil spring. All right, and then you just slide it back on. Make sure you line up the rails. I'm trying to do this on video, so please forgive me. That's it, and you're pretty much ready to go. All right, guys, that pretty much